Everybody, hey, this is Matt Larson, and today I wanted to talk a little bit about finding super discounted properties and motivated sellers. So one of the things that we focus on in my company, now we do, typically 20 to 30 houses a month. We're located in the Iowa, Illinois area called the Quad Cities, but one of the things that we do is we focus on houses that are owned free and clear. Now, think about this. 37% of all the houses in the United States are owned free and clear. Why is that important? Well, for one, how cheap can you buy a house if it's owned free and clear? Technically, you could get that house for basically free. In fact, last week, I actually got a house that I closed on that I paid $1 for. The reason it was $1 is there still has to be some kind of monetary exchange in order to close a deal through a title company. So, and that was not $1 in the sense of, it wasn't like a down payment, wasn't the earnest money, wasn't a subject to deal, wasn't a lease option. I paid $1 for the house. So think about this. So 37% of all houses are owned free and clear. Now, to put that in perspective, if you got in your car right now and started driving down the street, every third house that you pass by is owned free and clear. Basically, 37% is a third of the homes. Now, a lot of people, that statistic surprises them because, in 2008, with all of the mortgage meltdown and everything that happened, most people thought that a lot of that equity disappeared, but it actually hasn't. People that paid cash for houses that don't refinance or don't pull their cash back out, a lot of people own houses just free and clear and they leave it that way. So so now let's talk about this. So if you had a list of houses that were owned free and clear, that's step one. Step two then is to figure out the motivation level of those people that own those houses. So think about this for a second. So let's say the houses are vacant. So you have the house, it's owned free and clear, and the house is vacant. Now, if that house is vacant, that means the owner doesn't live there. And if the only owner doesn't live there, they live somewhere else. So now they're actually paying for two houses. Wherever they're living now, they're paying all the expenses involved with that house, but they're also paying for the other house. Now, if a house is owned free and clear, does that mean there aren't any expenses with the house? Well, of course not. You still have to pay property taxes. You still have to pay insurance. You have utilities. You have any maintenance that's required by the city that might need to be done. So there's still expenses associated with houses free and clear. So if you've got an owner and they live over here and they own this house free and clear and it's vacant and it doesn't have a tenant in it and there's no rent coming in, that house is costing them money every single month. So what you have is a motivated seller. So the reason why that seller hasn't decided to sell that house is because a lot of times it needs work. If the house needs work, they may have talked to a realtor or talked to somebody about selling it. The realtor went by and looked at it, and the realtor said, hey, that's no problem, I can sell your house, but you need to do these things in order for me to sell it. There's a lot of realtors out there that are not sales savvy, they're not investor friendly, and they don't know how to do what needs to be done to get houses to sell. The top 5% of all realtors actually control like 95% of all the sales. So if that particular seller happened to call what I quote unquote bad realtor or an inexperienced realtor, they could have had that conversation. So think about it. So you've got a vacant house, you've got no mortgage on the house, the owner's potentially wants to sell, could be very, very motivated. Now, if you contacted that seller to buy their house and make an all-cash offer, close really fast, then there's a good chance that you may get that deal. Now, in my company, we do several things. We actually send postcards to these houses. We cold call them. We text them. We find these houses and then we contact them. So that's really the second phase of this whole thing. First phase is pull the list. So you got to get the list, pull a vacant house list in your area, pull non-owner occupieds with that list. So now you have the list. Now you have to contact them. You can contact them through postcards, through cold calling, text messaging, send them a letter, whatever it is. However you decide that is the best way for you to contact them. We love postcards and we love cold calling. Then you get them on the phone. You set up an appointment and you go meet with these people. Now, some of them do not live in the area, and that's even better. So if you've got an out-of-state owner, they might line you up with just somebody to let you in the house, get your pictures, and do a general assessment of the property. and then you can communicate with that owner from a distance just through phone. So this is a best case scenario. Then you can make your offer based on what the property's worth, if it's fully rehabbed, how much rehab costs you have in, any other expenses that you have. You can put that house under contract, and then you can do a couple things. You could buy it. If you want to just own it for yourself, you could turn around and own that property by paying cash for it if you have the cash. Now, what if you don't have any cash? Well, you could do what's called wholesale. You could put it under contract and then find a new cash buyer to come in and take over your contract, either through an assignment of contract, or you could do what's called a double close. Then you turn around and, let's say for easy numbers, you get this house under contract for $100,000. You find a buyer for $120,000, and you would get the difference between those two prices, less expenses. So that's the importance. A lot of people, a lot of gurus especially now, you'll see a lot of people try to complicate real estate and real estate investing. But the bottom line is, if you can do one thing right, if you can find motivated sellers that own houses free and clear, that have a vacant house and there's nobody living in there and no rents generated, you can get amazing deals on those houses. If you get that one piece right, if you just get that one acquisition piece right, and you crush the price that you can get the house under contract for, you can make money in real estate. So I just wanted to take a few minutes today to discuss that one main strategy. I hope it helped. I hope you learned a lot. There's a link in the description to a book that I wrote called Hidden Houses. If you want, check that book out. I discuss a lot of really cool strategies, actually my top 3 strategies for finding discounted properties. Check it out. Let me know what your feedback is. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel.